And then there were 4. Welcome to Southbound, an NFL podcast where 2 depressed Saints fans, not as depressed right now, Saints fans talk about the NFL at large, the NFC South, which has no further representation this year, and the playoffs. I started off by saying, and then there were 4 because there are 4 teams left. It is conference championship weekend. My name is Matt.
I'm the Quacker.
Quacker. All right. Before we jump into news and notes, let me ask you, are you staying warm? How's Mississippi faring in the winter weather event?
Yeah, it is 50 degrees right now. The worst that was coming tonight and tomorrow and Monday. I had to go to town today. When I left the house, it was overcast, but it wasn't raining yet. By the time I got to town, it was raining on me, and it's stayed raining the rest of the day. So we're starting to get it. So it's the temperature's fixing to start dropping more.
Yeah, and it's weird because you're 3 states away. You're in Mississippi, almost to Louisiana. I'm in South Carolina, and I'm in the northern part of South Carolina, northeastern part. And we are about to get our freezing rain is going to start in about an hour and a half. And by all rights, doesn't look like it's going to stop until it turns to rain sometime in the early morning hours. Yeah, quite a bit colder here. It's 31, but boy, I'll tell you, I don't know what the wind chill is. It doesn't feel like 31. It feels like about 10. Like I've had to it's one of those. It's so cold I've had to bundle up just to let my dog out. And all I do is put him in the backyard. So all I'm doing is opening the door and shutting it. So, but it's that cold. I've got the fire going. I've got the heat on. And if you know me, I'll turn a fire on. I don't like having the heat on. But fire and heat is like unheard of in my world.
Right.
And you can't see this, but my big dog is currently warming up my feet. I've got my feet tucked underneath his body. So, and I'm wearing socks. So anyway, TMI section is over, but hope everybody's staying warm in the I don't know. I mean, they need to name it. I'm used to storms having names. Like, I don't know, Frederick the Winter Storm or something. But, all right. So, before we're going to detail the 2 conference championship games and give our picks about who is going to the Super Bowl, although this might be one of the easier, at least half of it's going to be easier. But before we do that, Quacker, go ahead and hit us with the news and notes because we've got a couple humdrum things, and then we got 1 or 2 doozies. So go ahead and hit us with that.
So Packers offensive lineman Rasheed Walker was arrested Friday morning at LaGuardia Airport. Apparently he had a handgun in his carry-on bag. Tried to check it, and it was they found it obviously and arrested him there. So that's an ongoing situation.
Wait, he tried to check it?
Yeah.
Okay, so I thought you
I don't know.
I
don't
thought
know
you
if he
could
had
check handguns. I thought you couldn't carry them on. I thought you could check them.
I don't know the whole situation here. It doesn't really have a whole lot. It was in a lockbox. I see that, but
interesting. Wonder if it just was. I'm sure there's certain regulations.
In New York City, if you have your ammo inside the same box as your gun, they consider it a loaded gun. Even though this not loaded, it's a stupid rule they have. But anyway, it had 36 rounds of ammo in the box. So that's why they arrested him, I'm sure.
But LaGuardia is not in New York City; it's in New Jersey.
It's still the same rules there. But it's
a different state, though.
Pretty sure LaGuardia's in.
No, it's in Newark, New Jersey. JFK is the airport in New York City.
Now
LaGuardia does a lot of New York City traffic, but it's not even in the same state. That's why it's confusing to me.
Well, they said it's LaGuardia Airport in New York.
Yeah, I
in
mean
the
you can look it
in the
up.
thing.
It's in Newark, New Jersey. It's right across the river. But
But
that's not the main point. But yeah, LaGuardia
yeah,
is definitely in New Jersey. Um, so
um, this is not a shocker to anyone, but Fernando Mendoza has entered his name to the draft. He's obviously the likely number one pick for the upcoming draft. So he'll go from crimson and cream to black and silver, I guess, unless the Raiders trade out. For his sake, I hope they do, because that's
yeah,
the graveyard of
terrible,
quarterbacks. They're
terrible. Yeah,
um, let's see. Dolphins have promoted Slowick. What's his first name? Bobby Slowick to offensive coordinator. Um, he had also interviewed for the Philadelphia Eagles offensive coordinator job. Of course, the Dolphins recently hired Jeff Halfley as their
sorry
next
about
head
that.
coach. um, interesting one here. Philip Rivers. He's gone from sitting at the house, coaching high school football in Alabama, playing with his 27 kids and his grandkids, and of course he got called back in. He was this is crazy. He was a finalist or semifinalist for the NFL Hall of Fame. The Colts called him up. He went and played. Of course, his time there resets, but he's went and interviewed for the Bills head coaching job. So
Seriously.
yeah, yeah. Of all the things that you could have said, yeah, this is going to happen, I wouldn't have called that one. But
Well, it's interesting. We
yeah,
talk a lot about soccer, like my fandom for soccer, and in soccer, you do a lot of times see players who were players within like the last 5 or 6 years become head coaches. You don't
hmm
see that hardly ever in football, not in pro football. I mean, you see it,
yeah,
it happens, but I mean, our guy Kellen Moore is about as quick as it happens. You know, he was a player 8 years ago, 9 years ago. That's about as fast as
something
you
like
get
that.
it.
Yeah,
You know, um, my favorite team, Arsenal. Our manager Mikel Arteta was a player in like as recently as the 2015 season or something like that, but he didn't become a head coach until 20 or 21 something. But so it is a shorter. So that's weird. I'm surprised he did that. I thought you were about to tell me that he re-signed with the Colts and was coming back, but nope.
no, I was shocked last week when it came out that they had fired Sean Mc what was this
Yeah,
Sean
Sean McVay. I was shocked too, but if you really look at it, if you can't
McDermott.
win, oh sorry, McVay's L.A.
Yeah,
Yeah, but if you it's Sean Mack, so I mean, come on. If you really look at it, if you can't even make it to the Super Bowl with Josh Allen, at some point you gotta start laying blame,
yeah,
because I was shocked too, but I do think, I mean, you have one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. It's time to do something with him, So,
hmm
and this year with no Ravens and no Chiefs, this was theirs for the taking, and they just didn't do it. So,
yeah. But some of that blame, and I hate to say it like this, but some of that blame has gone on the quarterback as well. I mean,
well, I'm
I'm a
not saying
big
it
Josh Allen
doesn't.
fan, but 4 turnovers in that playoff game were a killer.
Yeah, I'm not saying it doesn't. I certainly think as a pro athlete, you have to accept a lot of blame, but it's the coach's job to mitigate that. You know what I mean? And at a certain point, are you
Yeah,
going to get rid of a head coach or a top three quarterback who's still got several years in the tank? You know what I mean?
yeah,
Even if it's all
yeah,
Josh Allen's fault, he's still got time left on the ticker. you can find a head coach who can work well with Josh Allen. That's easier to do, right? So that's where I'm at. Yeah, sure. I mean, you blame any NFL player for any mistake they make, but at the end of the day, it's the head coach's job to mitigate those mistakes. So
Yeah, and I'm a Josh Allen fan, but he does have kind of that Brett Favre mentality of I'm gonna get it in there. He'll take off more than Favre would.
yeah, but
He's
I think he's a slightly better passer than Favre. I think Favre had that like determination, right? Like I'm gonna make this pass work, and he did a lot of times. But it's almost like Favre is like what Tebow was running the ball. I feel like Favre was with his arm. Like I shouldn't be able to make this pass. I can't make this pass, but he's gonna catch it, and I'm gonna will him to catch it. That's how I always saw Favre. You know what I mean? Like, because he wasn't making throws that were like 9.5 out of 10 difficulty. He was just taking a lot of 7.5 and up difficulty, and he was, he had a very good conversion rate with those. You know what I mean? So yeah, I mean, I see what you mean, but I feel like Josh Allen has that in moments. I don't feel like that's like his identity as a player.
Mm-hmm. All right, and then lastly, we have the Patriots activated a player for the title game. We can talk about that when we actually get to that. The Steelers have verbally agreed with Mike McCarthy as their head coach. I did not realize this till I clicked on something that McCarthy is from the Pittsburgh area. I did not know that until that popped up. So I guess he's going home, and going to take over one of the proudest franchises in the history of the NFL. They're on their now fourth head coach in the last 60 years. So,
well, I think 6 ever, right? Isn't that the number?
I'm not really sure, but I know, like, when Tomlin took over, what was it, 15 years, almost 20 years ago, that it had only been Chuck Noll and then Bill Cowher, like, since the 60s or something like that. So,
hold on, let's see here. I'll just look it up since we're looking at it. Okay, so since they've been the Steelers, which is 1941. Hold on, let me. So you are right about that. So McCarthy is the 4th head coach since '69. Which I guess would be, when was the merger? Middle 60s?
Something like that. Yeah. 67, 68, somewhere in there.
All right. That was 66. Well, no, hold on. That's when it was announced. From 1966 through 69, the final championship will become known as the Super Bowl. Okay, so 66 was also the first season. So since the merger, they've had 5. I don't know why there's a distinction between Bill Austin and Chuck Noll. I guess because Chuck Noll was the coach for so long. All these guys have been coached for so long. Maybe that's why. But there was Bill Austin from 66 through 68. But he's actually the 17th head coach in the team's history, which is interesting. I didn't realize it was that many, but that's from 1933 when they were the Pittsburgh Pirates. So
right,
and yes, you did hear me right. I'm not talking about the baseball team, but they've been the Steelers since '41, and since then it looks like he's the 11th. But for all intents and purposes, since the merger, number 5.
Mm-hmm. One
So,
thing I respect about Pittsburgh teams, they all have the same color scheme, so you can just wear the same clothes to any game.
yep,
You,
yep.
you know,
Except the Pirates, because they do that weird thing where they add in a little red occasionally. Like their base colors are still black and yellow, but they have a little red that they'll
yeah.
add in. I guess the Penguins do that too, but
The Steelers have a little red with theirs too, because
they
they have
do.
the steel.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, they
but I'm
got that
talking
steel
about like
logo. It's got
I'm talking about like in their logo, like or not in their logo,
yeah.
like in their uniform. They'll incorporate it. Yeah, I forgot about
I
that
don't
little
consider
star.
seeing that with
Yeah,
yeah
because if we're going by that, then they also have blue. The Steelers do.
yeah
In I think blues in their logo. I don't remember.
yeah.
We're going down the rabbit hole. So tell us about McCarthy.
Well, I haven't seen like any details yet. I don't know. He's 62 years old, so he's kind of up there as far as like how long he'll be coaching. You know, that's it won't be for 20 years. I wouldn't think, because that would put him at like 82. Um,
No, I think you
there,
could
there's
get 15 out of him.
um
I think in the modern day, coaches, it's not uncommon for them to go to 70, 75, if they're successful.
yeah
But McCarthy's interesting because McCarthy was successful in Green Bay, and obviously he had Aaron Rodgers. But is McCarthy capable of bridging the gap between the head coaches we grew up seeing and the modern head coach? Obviously, you can't count his time in Dallas. Like, nobody's going to have success with Jerry Jones. I mean, it is the way it is.
mhm.
So that's my question. Is it's like, can he bridge that gap? Because I think he's a good coach. And you mentioned, that they may have done it as a ploy to bring Aaron Rodgers in. I think that's exactly why they did it, to see if he would come back for another year. I don't hate that altogether. I mean, it is a short-term strategy, but, dude, they have a team that's good enough to win playoff games. And all you need from there is just a little nudge over the edge. So if all that gets you is one more Super Bowl, then he retires and McCarthy's your godfather to reset, I don't think that's a terrible strategy.
Yeah, I mean, I can also see them going one and done in the playoffs again, and then, you know, we were talking off air. Dan Orlowski was on First Take yesterday and said, like he really didn't like the move, and it wasn't anything about McCarthy or Rodgers. It was about the fact that they're going to be good enough to win 9, 10 games, get into the playoffs, and then they're going to miss out on what could potentially be a generational quarterback, in the draft, in the 2027 draft, because, I mean, Rodgers has got maybe 1 year left, two if he really wants to play. But he's so finicky right now, and if he wants to come back or not, I don't see him playing 2 more years. I can see him come back for 1 more. But I see where he's coming from with that. I don't know if I completely agree with that or not, but the the Chiefs got Patrick Mahomes at a fairly low spot in the draft, so you can get a good quarterback, late in the first round, or even later. I mean, shoot, Tom Brady was 6th round, 199th.
Or Purdy, I said Tom Purdy. Brock Purdy was Mr. Irrelevant. So,
yeah. Yeah. So, now obviously those are more far and few between than like your, upper level players, like a Peyton or Drew Brees or somebody like that,
Well, Drew
But
Brees was second or third round. I mean, he wasn't. His height was a big question. Um,
yeah, yeah, but
well, I
he was
feel like
still early.
I feel like quarterback is in general. I think that basically the sentiment of what you're saying, and I agree with this, is that quarterback is pretty hit or miss. Like if you get a quarterback in the draft, you have a chance of developing that quarterback, and the higher you draft him, the higher that chance is. Look, I'll sit here and say I'm not going to speak for Quacker, but we're both Saints fans. I don't know a Saints fan that I talk to regularly who is excited about Tyler Shuck. Now, I want to clarify that statement by saying no. I don't think what we saw from Tyler Shuck against the bottom half of the league in the second half of the year means he's the second coming of Drew Brees, but he's a lot better than I thought he was going to be, and that's all you can ask for. And we reached for him, although he was really good. But then again, we got Spencer Rattler in the 5th round last year, and honestly, he wasn't that bad. He just didn't elevate the team. So that's what I'm saying. I think quarterback is really, if you get a quarterback in the draft and they know what it takes to work hard, right? Because like that was like Jamarcus Russell's problem. He couldn't work hard because he was so talented that he got through on talent until he got to the NFL. But if you get a quarterback who can work hard, I think anything can happen in the NFL.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, we'll see. I mean, it's still too early to tell anything outside of which we know that McCarthy is going to the Steelers. We don't know what his staff look like next year. What the team will look like in general. I mean, some of the players are locked up long term. I am. He may be on the opposite sidelines, coaching the Bills. So, yeah, I was talking with my boss yesterday at work, and I was like, I'm sure, Rivers was as much of a coach as he was a player when he was with the Colts for that stretch run this year, because he's pretty much seen it all at this point,
You just got to wonder why there aren't more quarterback head coaches, because it makes sense that a quarterback would be a good head coach, but there's not that many of them. Outside of Kellen Moore, I can't think of another active coach who was a quarterback in the NFL. I'm not saying there aren't any. I'm not saying there aren't any.
Sean Payton wasn't. Yeah, Sean Payton wasn't NFL, but he was a quarterback in college.
See, I didn't even know that.
Yeah, he was quarterback at Eastern Illinois. Whichever one that Tony Romo was at. Sean Payton was from that same school.
Okay.
Yeah. I can't go through the whole league in my head as far as coaches and stuff, but you got Matt Ryan. He's not a coach, but they just made him president of football operations with the Falcons. And he hired Stefanski for his first move. So, so you got some quarterbacks. They're not all coaches, but you got them in different positions.
Well, sure, yeah.
Yeah.
And I do agree with you. I think it stands to reason that quarterback would be a good coach always. It just makes you wonder why there aren't more of them. And I don't have the answer. I'm not saying that like, let's figure this out. I just think it's weird,
Yeah. Yeah, I do know the better player you are, though, the harder it is for them to coach, because they were talking about like Reggie White or John Randall, right? Both legendary defensive linemen, and they would be in training camp and stuff like that, and they would do these moves and stuff, and the coaches were like, "All right, now show such and such how you did it." He goes, "I can't show it.
I definitely think that's true. Like, I don't know that Michael Jordan would ever be a good coach. I think there are certain people who just have an innate ability to feel their game. But quarterback is different in that they may not be able to show how they do. Like, I don't know if Patrick Mahomes could ever show somebody how he does his magician work, right? But what he can do, and what most quarterbacks can probably do, is break down how they break down film, break down how they read a defense, break down
Yeah.
how they call plays when they're looking for certain things, because it's such a cerebral position at that level.
Mm-hmm.
So I agree. It's just that is the one position in all of sports where it takes as much mental as it does physical. And in fact,
Yeah.
Peyton Manning is a testament to it taking, Peyton Manning's not athletic. I mean, let's be honest with you. He's not athletic at all. But his brain, what he had between the ears was so valuable, and his athletic abilities were good enough that he's gonna go down as one of the greatest quarterbacks ever.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Then you got like a Tom Brady who had the athletic and he wasn't a speedster, but he had,
Right.
He
could throw the ball
he also
a mile.
had that same,
Yeah.
He also had that same, and Drew Brees. I mean, all three of those guys had just a computer between the ears as far as reading defenses and knowing what was going to happen. But they also, all three of those, were locked in the film room for hours and hours and hours. Like they just were spending so much time doing that, and you don't have players do that as much these days. Like you don't hear about a lot of these quarterbacks staying locked up in the film rooms for hours and hours and hours.
I think it still happens. I think that's why so much was made of the Kyler Murray. Like it was in his contract; he could only play video games so many hours or whatever. Like because I think what separates NFL athletes who have sustained careers from great college athletes is they have to work hard. So I think that every NFL quarterback who you're seeing have success for more than like a handful of games, it's because they're doing their homework. They may not be in the film room as much as those guys, but they're working hard in the film room. Because I don't think any NFL athlete is good enough on talent alone to outdo the hard work that the rest of that league does,
Yeah.
But anyway,
yeah, I wasn't saying that like they're not studying, but they're not studying on the same level that those guys were.
Yeah,
and like Phillip Rivers was another one. He was locked in film rooms too. Like and to me, that's why like when he came in, he had a lot of success. Now he didn't translate into wins, but that Colts team, they started out so hot and they fell apart. But they had a ton of injuries down that stretch, But I mean, you can watch him like reading the defenses. He just knew like what they were fixing to do, and it's so interesting watching these old school guys how they operate. They just like they know this safety's fixing to drift to the left center of this field, so this slant that's fixing to come across right here is going to be it's just they can almost like premonition it. They just kind of can see it like 2 steps ahead.
It's funny you say that. I saw a video today of a backup quarterback I've never heard of. He played in the NFL for 5 years, and he literally did that he was playing Madden, and he said, well, I'm going to adjust his play, and I'm going to look for the Texas, and I'm going to do this because this safety is going to do this, and he scored a touchdown. And I was like, dude, that's insane. This is a backup I literally never heard of. That's how good these guys are, Like, forget about forget about sustained starters. Think about career backups. Fitzpatrick or Jameis or some of these other guys. What they have between the ears, man, it will humble most of us mere mortals. All right, my allergies.
I wouldn't call Fitzpatrick a backup. He started more than he.
Well, he was no, he was definitely more of a backup for sure. He started like in little spurts, but he was a career backup journeyman. I mean, that's what he was. He was never the franchise quarterback, never like a sustained starter. He got his shot being the backup and then coming in for injured starters or starters who got, fell out of favor. Like that's what happened to him in Tampa Bay. That's what happened to him, I guess. I forget where his last stop was, but he was 100%. Like, I mean, he was a backup. Like that's what he did. All right. So enough of that. Let's move on to the Broncos, Patriots, and the Seahawks and Rams. So we're going to spend exactly 1 minute talking about Broncos Patriots because with Bo Nix being hurt, even though it's in Denver, I don't think anybody expects this to be much of a game, right? I mean, would you disagree with that?
No, there's a content creator. There's a lot of NFL stuff that I've seen that because the injury news about Bo Nix came out so late, and he was like, it looks like the Patriots are good again. So like he's like pretending like he's Sean Payton. He's like, why are these like former NFL quarterbacks in my office? He's like Eli Manning and all these different. He's like, you gotta say that Bo Nix is hurt for this game. You got to start Stidham because the only way that you can beat the Patriots when they're good is to have a backup quarterback playing. and, and so, like, it made me laugh. You know, I was like, okay, that's pretty funny there. But you know, I didn't even realize Stidham was still in the league.
I didn't either until I saw that he was going to start.
I found it interesting that both their quarterbacks are former Auburn players who didn't finish at Auburn.
I thought Stidham did. I thought Stidham played his last year at Auburn. Did he go somewhere else?
He went to Baylor.
Oh, I guess I didn't realize that. I thought he went straight from Auburn to the NFL. I mean, I didn't really follow Jared Stidham's career, so
yeah,
take my word for what it's worth. But
when he left Auburn, he went to Baylor for a year and then went to the NFL. So yeah, I mean, you know, I don't think this will be a blowout. I think Stidham will do okay, but man, I think Drake May has got a chance. I don't think he'll win it, but I think he's got a chance to win the MVP this year. He's played so well, especially for a second-year player. I really feel like he'll be a difference maker in this game.
Yep.
And that Patriots defense is pretty good. I don't have their numbers in front of me, but I mean, they turned Houston over 5-6 times in that game. I really thought whoever turned the ball over last was the one that was going to lose the game. Just the way that the turnovers were just back and forth there for the whole game, but the Patriots, they found a way to just kind of separate themselves a little more, and they had some players making plays that Houston didn't, and Kayshon Boutte with that touchdown catch, that one-handed touchdown catch. And I heard Jim Nantz say, we have stats for everything now. That was his first career one-handed catch in the league, and it was for a touchdown in the end, in the playoffs. I was like, I had no idea they even caught, they statted stuff like that. But
everything that's turning into baseball. So Jared Stidham, by the way, played at Baylor before Auburn.
Okay.
I was curious. I just looked at the reason I looked it up is because I don't know anything about Jared Stidham other than that he played for Auburn.
Right.
But I thought I remembered him getting drafted from Auburn, but I wasn't really 100% sure. Fun fact, and I remember this now that I saw it, but he also used to play for the Patriots. So.
Yeah. Did he get drafted by the Patriots? Is that where?
I think so, yes. Looks like it.
Yeah.
Did he spent 1 year with the Raiders before coming to the Broncos in 23?
Okay. Yeah, so I had the right schools. I just had them reversed in my head.
That's all right. Don't feel bad. I do that all the time. Especially, I feel like there's been a quarterback who's transferred in and out of Oklahoma each of the last 13 seasons, and the only one I could tell you probably the correct order is Jameis, or not Jameis, Baker. I don't know why I said Jameis. But yeah, so it's yeah.
Kyler Murray was one that did the same thing. He transferred from.
Well, all of their last several quarterbacks have. either in or out.
Yeah.
And a lot of them have come to and from Auburn. I don't understand that, but all right. So, long story short, we both love Sean Payton. He's a great coach. They're not winning with Jarrett Stidham. This Patriots team's too good, and therefore we're not going to spend too much time talking about that. Although it would be a cool story if they did win. Wouldn't matter because they're not going to win the Super Bowl without Bo Nix. So, all right. So moving on.
I said we had a little news with that one. The Patriots activate wide receiver Matt Collins from the IR for the title game.
Okay.
So that'll give that'll give Drake May one more option for for stretching the field against this. Now the Broncos defense is one of the best in the league. I mean, like that's one thing about the last four teams that are playing. Like all of them have really good defenses. I think the Broncos have like the one or two ranked defense. I know they're like the sack leaders in the league. They keep talking about that front seven for the Broncos.
Yeah, I just think the issue is that for them to win it, they're going to have two performances where the defense is directly responsible for 10 or more points, which you could say that in the regular season, but this is a pretty solid crop in the Final Four.
Yeah.
So I think Bo Nix going out takes them from being the second best team left in my mind to the fourth best team. Now, I think they have I think it's very close to I think they have the best head coach left. Him and McVay are the only ones. I think Peyton and McVay are really close in terms of career accomplishments, and every time they've played, they've been good games. So, but now the other guys are younger guys who have coached a lot less. Well, McVay's young, but he's been coaching a while. So, all right. So I want to talk about this NFC Championship game because this is interesting. It's an NFC West game, which is cool. It's always neat to see divisional games in the championship round, and you don't see it as much. We didn't see it for a long time because when Brady and Breeze were briefly in the same division, they played. I can't remember if they played once or twice in the playoffs, but I know that the time that the Bucks won the Super Bowl, they played in the divisional round, not the conference championship round. And then
that was his last season. That was Bree's last season too. So they only played once with them.
I
too.
thought Breeze's last season was the year they played the Vikings. See, I get all that confused.
No,
the second
that was
time
it.
they played the Vikings, not the first time. The second time, when they had the overtime game in the dome.
No, because his arm was shot at that point. Because the only touchdown they scored in that game against Tampa was that trick play where
so what was that 2021?
20, I think.
2020 season. It was in the 2021 year.
Right. Okay.
See, yeah, that shows how much my my memory serves, because I thought it was the year that the no OPI call when we lost in the wild card round to the Vikings was his last game, the one that basically Taysom Hill won. I had those years reversed in my brain. So anyway, What was I saying? All right, so my point is you don't see those a lot, divisional games in the championship game.
Yeah.
That's nice. Boy, the Seahawks look good. Can we get a boy howdy?
Yeah. No.
No boy howdy? All right, so Chad's let everyone down with the boy howdy. You're the only person I've ever heard say that. So when I ask for it, it's a special thing.
I don't remember saying it all that much, so that's funny.
You've only said it a couple of times, but that makes it special. You're still the only person I've ever heard say it.
Um, I would have figured your nephew would have been one to say it.
Uh, Isaac?
No, Carter.
No, no, I don't think I don't think he says howdy at all. Um, I Carter's Carter's got a unique. He's got his own vernacular. But it's not. It's definitely not that.
Okay, I hadn't been around them enough because they don't, they're not able to come around that much. So, um, I've only been around them a few times, but
Yeah. All right, so you heard it here first. No boy howdy from Quacker. So
no, no, that. But I will say that this is as close to the Legion of Boom as
but they have their
as
own
we've
name.
seen.
Have you heard that? They have their own name. It's not Legion of Boom.
What?
I,
what
I can't remember. I heard it last weekend, but they like to separate themselves from the Legion of Boom. Like they have their own name. Hold on. Keep talking. I'm gonna look this up because I found it interesting.
Yeah, but I mean that Seattle team was led by that defense, and this is a lot the same way. I mean, Darnold, he's a pretty good quarterback. He kind of tends to fall off in the playoffs. He played good enough last week to win, but they lean heavily on their run game and their defense. This is a very old school way of playing. So it's fun to. I'm not a Seahawks fan, but it's fun to watch these teams embrace the run game and defense like we grew up watching. Think about the Dome Patrol with the Saints back in the 80s and 90s, when Bobby Aber was quarterbacking for them, and they would lean on the run game and the defense to win a lot of games.
The Cajun Cannon. I wonder if he ever said,
Yeah.
"Boy howdy."
I doubt it.
Yeah. So I don't know. So all right. So I couldn't find it. The closest thing I found was the Swarm. That may be what they call themselves, but they have a name like the players that they refer to themselves as. And I heard it last week, so I'm sure that they'll bring it up again in the broadcast tomorrow. But whatever it is, yeah. So this is a good team, man. The Rams are a team I think can beat them. But I'm gonna let everybody know, and I think this is unusual. Yes, I'm an NFC fan. No, this is not Homer, because the Saints and the Rams have a rivalry that is unique. They used to be NFC West rivals, and yes, you heard that right. The Saints are in the NFC West. Don't ask me why. The Pelicans, I think, are still in the NBA West, right? So,
Well, but the NBA is set up like it's divided like east and west. The way it's set up, it's the Mississippi River. I think maybe
yeah, but still, calling Louisiana West is a little bit ridiculous. I don't care how it's set up. So does that mean the Grizzlies are in the West too?
Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy. Yeah. I get there are more people in the East, but I mean, come on. So, all right. But my point is, and since the breakup, if you will, of the Rams and the Saints in the early 2000s when the divisions were reformed or reorganized, the Saints and the Rams have played an odd, like, I feel like the Rams are probably the extra divisional team that the Saints play the most. At least it feels that way. Like they seem to play them a lot. And it seems like the Saints lose to the Rams when it matters a lot. So I say all that to say what I'm about to say is not an NFC homer pick, because it hurts my heart, part of this. I think whoever wins this game will win the Super Bowl, because I feel like the Rams and the Seahawks are both really good. I love the Broncos and I love the Patriots. I think the Patriots are still a step away. And I think because he's been in a couple of Super Bowls, he knows what to do to coach it. The Seahawks look really, really good,
Mm-hmm.
and the Broncos have no Bo Nix. So I don't know. I obviously I'm picking the Patriots to win the AFC. I'll pick Seattle to win the NFC, but like I could see the Rams winning the NFC, but I don't think it matters who wins that game. I think the NFC champion is your Super Bowl champion this year.
Okay. So I'm going with the old man here. I'm gonna say that the Rams win this game. I think they split the season series.
All right, be careful what you say because that old man, again, this is the second week in a row we've had to talk about this, was in college at the same time I was in college. So
I know
let's back that off a little bit.
I'm older than you are, Matt. So
That's what I'm saying.
but you know when you look at him, of course, when he's wearing a helmet, you don't see it. But they were interviewing him after the game the other day, and I noticed all the gray like on the sides of his beard, and I was like, oh my gosh. Like he color it, man. You know, I mean, of course, he's got 3 daughters at home, so I'm sure that adds to it. But you know, I've always been a big Matt Stafford fan. I don't like the Rams or the Seahawks, but I do like Matt Stafford. I do like Sean McVay. I think he's a fantastic coach.
That's funny. I feel the same way. For all the vitriol I have towards the Rams, I kind of like the personnel they have. So it's hard to cheer too hard against them.
Yeah. I like Sam Darnold because I like the way he's persevered and stuck around, you know, because, you know, when he was with the Jets, another graveyard for quarterbacks. It looked like his career was going to be a short one, and he's kind of revived it, you know, with
he has
Vikings
but I think what did he have, like 160 yards last week? So like what he has done is he's found a way. Kind of like Miami did. He's found a way to be successful by being invisible, and like, but like that's part of me feels like that's the new quarterback in a way as we see this next evolution of football. You know, where like the days of the 500-yard games are behind us, at least for now, and you even mentioned this earlier, but you know we're seeing more of a defensive presence in games. And I almost feel like that services guys like Darnold really well who are capable players but weren't having success in the same way with like the classic 4-step drop Brady, Breeze, Roethlisberger, Rodgers era, you know.
Yeah. It's funny you brought up Roethlisberger with that. We can talk about that in a minute, but yeah.
Just because he was in the era. I know he was a totally different type of player, but
I know, but no, I have something with that, but yeah, I mean Darnold, I'm sure he's had some big games. I haven't watched a lot of Seahawks games this year because they're unless they've been on like a primetime spot, you know, I'm usually watching a Saints game or, you know, whatever. The game of the week was here, something like a Cowboys game. You know, just because they play at the play the later window. You know, I don't ever buy that the direct ticket because it's too much. Or what do they call it? Sunday ticket.
Yeah, it's not DirecTV anymore. It's YouTube TV now.
Yeah, and I don't have YouTube TV either. But I thought they were supposed to open it up to everybody. But you know, the only thing about you have these later window games, but a lot of times you only have like one network showing like a doubleheader. So, you know, it may be CBS, you know, showing 2 games. So you're not going to see a lot of NFC games on CBS, especially in that later window.
I think Fox shows a doubleheader every week, and I think CBS does it like half of their weeks. So you do get some overlap. But again, it's still weird, and the point remains like unless it's a Sunday night game or the game of the week, we're not going to get a lot of Seattle games.
Yeah. So I you know, I try to just on the peripheral keep up with what they're doing, just as a whole. But they don't really talk stats a whole lot, unless it's just like a mind blowing game. Um, so I do think he's a good quarterback. I think Stafford's a much better quarterback though, and I think that'll make a difference in this game. Um, I could see Darnold having a moment, like a Carson Beck moment, and just one brain fart, and the game's over.
Well, and I think you hit the nail on the head. Like Darnold's not going to win the game for Seattle, but he sure could lose it for them. Now,
Yeah,
I'm not wishing that on him. I'm like you. I like seeing him revive his career, right? Like, because he was in that crop with like Justin,
Justin Herbert.
yeah, Herbert, and some of those other guys. And Herbert's really been the only consistent one. He's just, he hasn't. They haven't found that stride yet with San Diego. Um, so I'm with you. I want Darnold to do well, but I do think he's definitely not going to win the game. He could lose it, and so I think it's really funny that you framed it like that, because I think that's definitely a possible scenario that we could see come to fruition.
Yeah, yeah, because like I said earlier when we were talking about the Patriots, Broncos, all four of these teams, they all have legit defenses. And, they're not getting here on a wing and a prayer, and just gunslinging their whole way through. So they're gonna have to play clean games. It's gonna come down to who turns the ball over the least. And um, I have a little more faith in McVay and Stafford to get it through and get to the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I don't think that's a bad pick. I mean, I think experience is experience. Like,
Yeah,
as who was that who said that? Loki. Loki said that in at the beginning of Infinity War. If you call failure experience, I call experience experience. I didn't mean to tie in the Avengers there, but I mean
right.
that's the deal, right? Like, I mean, experience is experience, and so McVay's won the trophy. He's lost the trophy. Stafford's won the trophy. He's lost the trophy. He played in Detroit. I mean, when Detroit wasn't winning a lot of games. So,
When did Stafford lose the trophy?
uh, well, I don't know that he ever lost. What I'm saying is, like, he's lost that in terms of being in the playoffs and not winning it. I don't know if
Okay,
he's
okay.
gone to the Super Bowl and lost one. I just
No,
mean
no, no.
like I just mean
Yeah,
that
because
he's been in the
yeah,
playoffs and lost it. I don't know that if excuse me, if Darnold has
bless
been
you.
in the playoffs, it's only been once or twice. I just meant like to illustrate like experience.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and I know Darnold was in last year with the Vikings, and that was a weird situation. He took them to a 14-3 record, and they're like, we're not gonna bring you back because we got this other kid that we think is going to be good, and he was out for 3/4 of the season this year. He may wind up being good, but honestly, it wasn't all that impressed with McCarthy this year.
Yeah.
Um, and I saw some stuff on Twitter with Vikings fans being like, why did we get rid of Darnold? I mean,
Well,
because they were
McCarthy had a
seeing when
really
he was.
good start to the season. It just didn't end as well as I think people would have wanted it to. You know, it in fact it started really good. But so I don't know. We'll see. McCarthy's a few years younger, so he's got a little more grace, I think, than because I
Yeah,
think most people had given up on Darnold until last year in Minnesota.
hmm
So all right,
yeah,
well, so that is what we've got coming up. It's going to be an exciting day, and I'm pumped. My church had service today because we're going to be not snowed in, but iced in, I guess,
hmm
tomorrow. So I'm going to wake up tomorrow, and it's going to be like Christmas because it's just going to be football. Now, it's not going to be football till like the day's half over, but it's still just going to be football. So,
Right.
yeah, so I'm really pumped about that. Any final thoughts about championship weekend or what we might see?
No, no, I think we're gonna see a couple really good games. And it's one of those things. We're gonna see one game where it's really cold, and we're gonna see one game where it's I don't know what the weather will be like in Seattle. Probably wet,
Yeah, probably
but
cold and wet. That would be my guess. I think they're both going to
yeah,
be cold. One's just going to be snowy and one's going to be not snowy. So,
yeah. One's a little more miserable than the other because if it's raining and cold, that's a lot more miserable than snowing and cold. Because snowing, it doesn't penetrate you as much as just straight water. So
yeah, exactly. Well, and the Pacific breeze too, which I'm sure is pleasant in the summer and not so much in the winter. So, all right. So we've got one, maybe two more. We haven't talked about it, but between one and two more episodes of Southbound left this season. At least one more to recap the Super Bowl. Any final thoughts before we turn it over to the fates and the games?
no, no. Let the what do they say? Let the fates fall where they may.
Yeah. All right. Well, enjoy your championship Sunday. Thank you guys for joining us as always, and we will see you next time on Southbound. Have a great night.